Well, all right, I'm down to the last couple of strips here, and I thought this would be a good place to stop and start talking about it again. I stopped at 2 instead of 1 because I want to show you 2 techniques. First technique I like to call the white towel technique. That's where you throw in the white towel and you go for the easier route. Now, I've only got from here to fill up now, and the problem is you can cut the angles, but trying to bend the strips in and get them in there becomes more and more difficult. So I'm going to show you how to do a cut and a splice joint to get a strip in there, and it'll look fine and it'll be fine. Also, I got a little problem here. When I was cutting down the center line, I got a little bit off. I was going to hide that and not show that to you, but what the heck, I did it, so I'm going to show you how I'm going to fix it. And then lastly, I'm going to show you how to do the very final strip that goes in here, which can be a pain in the neck. It requires a great deal of patience, good music, and your favorite beverage. So let's start by getting this one strip in. What I've done here is I've taken the strip, I've got an angle down here that's right, I've got the angle down here that's right, and but obviously this strip is too long. So what we need to do is cut it. And what I'm going to do to cut it is I am going to slide one end in, doesn't really matter which one. I'm going to slide one in, get it to about where it wants to be here. Close it up. All right. Then I'm going to come down here to where I'm going to want to join it, which is right on this form here. And I'm going to make a mark. And when I make that mark, I'm going to bring it over to the saw, and I'm going to show you how we're going to cut that so that we can then do the same thing to this side and splice the two of them together. All right. So I'm going to make the mark, and I'll meet you over at the saw. All right. So I made simple mark here, which is right over the form. And then I made a mark here in the direction that I want to cut the angle. Now this saw goes to 45. If you got one that goes to 60, all that much better. But 45 is fine. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to put it in facing the right direction, and I'm going to cut right on that mark. Okay. So I'm going to go put this piece in. And then that leaves me this side, which all I need to do is match it up, cut it at the right spot, and put it right back on. So we're going to throw you up in the sky cam now, and you're going to take a look down, and I'll show you what I'm doing. All right, so now it's just a matter of dabbing a little bit of glue on here. You got to get the flat surface where it's going to meet. And flip it over. Throw a little bit in the groove. Okay, and just slide it up. Take the thumb and just kind of push it up in there. Okay. Okay. And when these two pieces come down and meet, that should be nice and tight there. So what I'm going to do is start with that, and I'm going to do that with a little glue block and hot glue. Push down and hold it down for a few seconds. Give it plenty of time to make a connection there. All right, you see I got this chisel here. I use that to put between the two, and you can see that I just give it a turn. Right, when I give it a turn, it makes a nice connection between the two. All right, so I'm going to grab my staple gun here. And give it a little twist. Throw in the staple. All right. Throw a staple between the two here, just to kind of temporarily hold it. I'll come back to that in a second. And of course up here where I've got a form, I'm going to put a staple in there. Alright. Alright, so that all looks pretty good, but I need to get these down and keep them down. So I'll take care of that with a bungee cord in just a second. Wrap a bungee cord right around the top of that. This all looks pretty good, but I got a little bit of space here, so I'm going to put a little dab of glue. That's a little bit too much. Take my block. I'll make sure that's out of the way of my next strip. put that down. Okay. So now we have to take care of the other side. Well, we've already got the angle cut, so it's just a matter of doing the length correctly. And what I will tell you about that, excellent, is better too long than too short. So, what we're gonna do, grab a pencil here, I'm gonna slide this in. Like so. Bring it up here, and then I'm gonna make a mark where the joint's going to meet, and then down here I'm going to put the angle that I wanted to cut it at. Right, so I'm here and I want to cut this way on the saw. I'll make a mark on this side too, just in case. All right, so when I cut that though, I'm going to cut it about 1/8 of an inch to the left of this to make sure that I don't come up short. All right, so in full disclosure, let's talk about the little problem that we had down here. I got to cutting a little bit too quickly. And you can see when I push these together, I got a little over 1/16 of an inch gap right here. You know, there's different things you can do. I think probably the best thing to do here is we're going to be mixing up some epoxy and a little bit of filler later to take care of some of the little things on the boat. And what we'll do is we will cut some little slivers of wood, put some epoxy in there, push the slivers of wood down as a filler, because you don't like that big areas of epoxy because it's pretty brittle stuff. But we'll fill that with epoxy, we'll stick a little bit of wood down in there, and that'll be great. That'll be good to go. Nobody will ever notice it. All right, so I'm gonna go cut this so that we can slide it in and make the two of them mate. All right. And you notice here on the end, we've got this beveled angle. This is actually called a scarf joint. Tiny scarf joint, but a scarf joint nonetheless. We'll put a little glue here and then glue on the strip, and this thing will be great. All right, just a little bit of glue here. And now we put a little bit of glue on this matching surface here. A little bit here. Flip it over. Get the straight side here. All right, slide her in. Now, sometimes it's a little difficult because it wants to pop down in, so you should be able to get it. If it becomes too difficult, you can always go underneath and put a glue block underneath to support it. Looking pretty good here. I got a good matching joint here. All right, so we'll start with the staple gun, because that's the easy part. Again, I'll grab this, give it a little squeeze. Down here, and then I'm going to want to use a glue block on. Get this little piece of wood out of here. Alright, so right here where the joint is, I'll put one there. Good. Alright, so last thing to do is to put a little glue block right here. Alright, so that's looking pretty good. You know, again, we got this gap here. What I'll probably do actually is slice a little piece of wood right now, drop some glue in, and throw the wood down in there, and then we'll fill that up with epoxy later. And actually, you know, by the time we're done putting that sliver of wood in there and a little bit of glue and sand it down, it'll be hard to even notice. But it sure will make the last strip a little bit easier. So from up there, you can get a pretty good idea what this last strip is going to look like. It's going to be a sliver, and it's going to kind of be a pain in the neck, and it's going to take a lot of patience. But you'll do it. Nobody's ever stopped building a boat at this point, so I'm pretty doggone sure that you're going to get it done. All right, see, nice even tight joint. Now, right below that, you can see that I did a joint right here. Once that's sanded out, it's just gonna completely disappear. So if you take your time and do a nice job, it'll come out just fine. All right, so now I'm just gonna cut a little sliver of wood and drop it down in there. Well, I got a strip that's going to fit pretty well here. I'm not going to push it in because it's a son of a gun to get back out again. And let me show you how I did that. First thing you should know is I got a couple of glue blocks underneath here because I don't have another set of hands helping me out. So the glue blocks underneath the boat are going to help support the strip as I slide it in. All right, pretty easy process. First thing is what you need to do is get the length of the strip. So the length is going to be from one end of the opening to the other. And then once you have that, you're going to push it down in place to make the curve at the angle. And then you're going to go underneath with a pencil and just draw it from one end to the other. So that'll give me a fairly accurate representation of what the curve is like, but not necessarily the size. Right? So I know that this curve is going to end right here at this tick mark because I measured the length. All right, so I draw that pencil line. I don't know if you can see it, but the pencil line goes up, around, comes back down, and in theory, if I look at the other line at the other side of that, it's going to come right out to that tick mark there. All right, so that's a beautiful thing. So I've got a curve that goes from tick to tick. I'm going to take my razor knife, I'm going to rough slice it to that curve, and then this is where it really helps if you have a bench sander, because you know from here I just take it over to the sander, I make a few swipes here and there, and then before you know it, you're where you want to be. So if you look at the one that we cut here, you're going to see that it definitely follows the same curve. It is the same length pretty much. And the only difference is it's not as deep. So cut along the curve and then just take it to the sander. You keep coming back, you keep trial fitting it. And what's going to happen is you're going to get to the point where you slide one end in like so. And then you're gonna roll it as best you can and pop it down in there, okay? So I got little gaps here and there, really not a big deal because again, I'll just take little slivers of wood and some glue and I'll stick them in there, but that's a pretty good looking center strip. And I'm gonna pop that back out now and glue it down, put some glue blocks and some staples across there and let her dry, and this hull is done.